Listen closely, because this might be the turning point you've been waiting for. If you're tired of stumbling through life, doing the same things day after day, then it's time to shut out the noise and really pay attention. I'm not here to flatter you or give you a quick fix. I'm here to tell you that you need to break your old cycles. You need to look at yourself in the mirror and realize that, yes, you've been repeating the same patterns, yes, you've been clinging to the same routines, and yes, you've been wondering why nothing seems to change. That's not a coincidence. That's a predictable outcome of staying within your comfort zone. Today, I'm going to outline 5 habits that forced me to confront my own excuses. These 5 habits tore down the walls of my comfort zone and rebuilt my life from scratch. Nothing I'm about to say is sugar-coated. Nothing I'm about to say is for the faint of heart. If you truly want a different life, if you're serious about walking a path you've only dreamed about, you need to roll up your sleeves, brace yourself for discomfort, and commit to a new way of living. That's the key word: living. Most people are just existing, drifting through the days without direction, hoping for success to magically land in their laps. The truth is, comfort has a way of lulling you to sleep. It whispers that you're doing enough, even though you're not doing nearly enough to transform your life in a meaningful way. It tricks you into thinking that change might be risky or scary, which is partially true, but it leaves out the part where risk is necessary for growth. It leaves out the part where real fulfillment comes from challenging yourself and stepping into unknown territory. If you want to unlock your potential, you have to accept that discomfort is the price of entry. There's no shortcut, no cheat code, and no magical moment when everything aligns perfectly. You have to fight for what you want, day after day, moment after moment. Think about it. Every single time you've tried to change, you might have gone through the initial burst of motivation where you said, yes, this time it's different, but eventually found yourself falling back into the same old routine. Why does that happen? Because you tried to do it all at once, or you didn't break it down, or you didn't fully internalize the necessity of steady, incremental progress. That's where the first habit comes in, and it changed my life because it taught me to be patient with my own growth while still demanding accountability for myself. I stopped trying to renovate my entire existence overnight and started with one habit. I told myself, pick one thing, just one, and commit to doing it every single day until it becomes a non-negotiable part of my life. For me, it began as reading a small number of pages of an insightful book every morning. That might sound trivial, but let me tell you, it was the doorway to every other transformation that followed. Once I mastered the discipline of showing up for that single commitment, I discovered I could add on something else, like waking up earlier or dedicating a short block of time to focused exercise. Over time, each new habit stacked upon the last, forming the solid foundation of my progress. That single shift in my mentality, focusing on consistency in one area first, laid the groundwork for every other improvement in my life. You might ask, why does this work when so many other attempts fail? It works because it's sustainable. It works because it's honest. If you try to overhaul 10 habits in one go, you'll burn out. You'll lose track of why you're changing in the first place. You'll become overwhelmed by the enormity of the task, but if you zero in on one pivotal action, you anchor yourself to a routine that is both manageable and meaningful. You prove to yourself that you can stick with something past the initial wave of motivation. Once you have that evidence, your mind starts to believe that deeper, more dramatic change is actually possible. You start to see that you hold more power over your destiny than you realized. And that inner conviction is what drives you forward day after day. The second habit goes hand in hand with the first. Prioritizing small, consistent actions. Even after you've integrated that initial habit, you can't stop. You can't say, all right, I did one thing, so I'm good now. That's the beginning, not the end. To truly transform, you have to keep layering those small steps. Why small steps? Because they're sustainable. They're not intimidating. They don't disrupt your life so severely that you recoil and quit. They're like seeds you plant every day, which eventually grow into a robust garden of personal development. When I learned to break down my goals into daily, bite-sized tasks, I realized I could get far more done than I ever dreamed possible. I also realized that big dreams become feasible when you approach them systematically. Instead of waiting for a lightning bolt of inspiration, I set aside a slice of time each day to chip away at my objectives. That daily momentum builds confidence and clarity. And, as you gain confidence, you become more committed. As you become more committed, you see more results, and it turns into a powerful cycle of improvement. Yet, the world wants to pull you in a million directions. That leads to the third habit, which is limiting distractions. You have to stand guard at the doorway of your mind and your time. Think about how often you pick up your phone to scroll for no real reason. Think about the hours spent in front of a TV, binge watching shows that don't truly enrich your life. Think about the open browser tabs you keep, flipping between social media notifications and random news articles. These distractions are insidious. They eat away at your focus, 1 minute at a time, until entire days are lost to trivial pursuits. People wonder why they have no energy for self-improvement, but the answer is often that they're hemorrhaging their attention on useless fluff. If you want to get serious, really serious about changing your life, you need to identify your biggest time wasters and eliminate them. That means setting strict boundaries, like limiting social media use to a specific window of time each day, or turning off notifications, or telling friends you're unavailable during certain hours. When you stop letting the outside world dictate how you spend your day, you become the architect of your schedule, and that's when real progress begins. Of course, none of this means anything if you're neglecting your health. The fourth habit is crucial: taking care of your body. You might think you can put your physical well-being on the back burner while you chase success, but that's a huge mistake. If your health deteriorates, it doesn't matter what dreams you have or how ambitious your goals might be. You'll lack the stamina, the mental clarity, and the emotional resilience to see them through. Think of your body as the engine that powers the whole operation. If the engine fails, you're not going anywhere. That's why you must prioritize daily exercise, however simple, and pay attention to what you eat. You must carve out time to move, stretch, strengthen your muscles, and keep your energy levels high. Don't fall into the trap of thinking, "I'm too busy to work out." Actually, you're too busy not to work out, because if you don't invest in your health, you'll pay for it with countless lost hours in the future due to low energy, frequent illnesses, or even chronic conditions. Taking care of your body is a form of self-respect. It sends a message that you are here to thrive, not merely survive. Time management is the next piece of the puzzle, but it's more than just scheduling tasks. It's about understanding that every day you let slip by is gone forever. If you find yourself saying, "I don't have time," you need to pause and reevaluate. Do you really not have time, or are you choosing to spend your time on activities that yield little to no return? There's a difference between being busy and being productive. Busy people are in constant motion, but they aren't necessarily moving in a purposeful direction. Productive people may be working fewer total hours, but they're laser-focused on the tasks that matter. So ask yourself, how much of what you do each day is genuinely moving the needle in your life? That's a tough question because the truth might sting. You may realize you spend hours reacting to email notifications, scrolling through feeds, or chatting about things that don't propel you forward. Changing that pattern requires setting clear priorities each morning and defending them. If you let other people's demands dictate your schedule, you'll always be playing catch-up. Instead, you must become the director of your day, allocating your best energy to the tasks that push you closer to your goals. Over time, that daily discipline will pay dividends you can't even imagine yet. Now let's talk about celebrating small wins. It might sound like a minor point, but it's actually very important. Human nature craves recognition and progress. When you complete a small step, take a moment to acknowledge it. That doesn't mean you throw a huge party every time you finish a workout or read a chapter, but it does mean you pause and say, "I did what I set out to do," and that's a step in the right direction. Why does this matter? Because success is a marathon of daily sprints. It's not one big moment. It's a multitude of micro moments strung together. By celebrating small wins, you keep yourself motivated and remind yourself that each tiny effort is part of a bigger picture. You begin to see that you're not stuck or stagnant. You're actually moving forward, one step at a time. That sense of progress is fuel. It keeps you going on days when your motivation wanes or when life throws unexpected obstacles in your way. The truth is, if you're not growing, you're regressing. There's no standing still. Life is dynamic, and the same holds true for your personal development. If you stop learning or improving, you slowly slide backward. Think of it like running up a down escalator. The moment you stop moving your feet, you start drifting back down. That's why daily effort toward personal growth is non-negotiable. Don't assume that working hard at your job or taking care of your family is enough to keep you moving forward in life. You need to dedicate specific time to leveling up your skills, expanding your knowledge, and stretching your comfort zone. You need to read, study, ask questions, and stay curious about the world around you. The more you invest in becoming a better version of yourself, the more options you create for your future. And let's address the topic of comfort zones one more time. It's easy to say, "I'm comfortable here," and believe that as long as you're content, you don't need to push for something more. But comfort zones can be deceptive. They lull you into a false sense of security. Before you know it, years slip by, and you realize you haven't truly evolved. You may not have tried anything that scares you or excites you on a deeper level. You might have dodged failure and embarrassment, but in doing so, you also dodged experiences that could have transformed your life. The purpose of pushing beyond comfort isn't to seek discomfort for its own sake. It's to discover what you're capable of when you no longer let fear dictate your decisions. Yes, it's daunting, and yes, you might fail a few times, but each failure teaches you something invaluable about who you are and what you can do better next time. That leads to accountability. Many people try to rely on external motivators, praise from friends, likes on social media, or the fleeting hype of a new project. Those things can offer a brief spark, but they aren't strong enough to sustain true transformation. Real accountability starts inside you. It's being able to look yourself in the eye and say, "I promised I would do X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to follow through no matter how I feel." Emotions fluctuate. Some days you'll be inspired, other days you'll feel drained or discouraged. That's precisely why discipline matters. Discipline is doing the work even when you don't want to, because you know your future self depends on the decisions you make right now. Without discipline, you're just a slave to your moods and impulses, and that rarely leads to anything worthwhile. If you think all of this sounds like a lot of effort, it is. There's no denying it takes hard work to reorder your life, to swap bad habits for beneficial ones, to manage your time with precision, and to stay on top of personal growth. But consider the alternative. If you keep drifting, if you keep letting distraction and comfort be your guiding forces, where will you be in 5 years? Probably in the same place you are today. Or worse. Comfort zones shrink over time. The longer you remain complacent, the less flexible and resilient you become. On the flip side, the more you embrace challenge and change, the stronger and more adaptable you grow. That's the paradox. Though discomfort feels risky in the moment, it's actually safer in the long run, because it prepares you for life's inevitable challenges. Right now you might feel a mix of excitement and anxiety. Good. That means you're on the verge of something real. But don't let that energy fizzle out like it has so many times before. Act immediately. Identify one habit you want to adopt or one habit you need to drop. Commit to it today, not tomorrow, not next week, but right now. If you wait for a perfect moment or a burst of motivation, you'll wait forever. There is no ideal circumstance, no magical day when it all clicks effortlessly. The only magic is in taking the first step, and then taking the next, and the next, building momentum as you go. Momentum is powerful because once you have it, you're less likely to stall. And if you do stall, you have the memory of your earlier progress to remind you that you're capable of accomplishing so much more than your insecurities might suggest. You may have noticed something about these 5 habits. They weave together. You start with one habit to build consistency. You prioritize small actions daily. You limit distractions. You protect and nurture your health. And you manage your time as though each hour is a treasure chest of possibilities. Along the way, you celebrate your small wins to keep your motivation alive, and you consistently invest in your personal growth. This forms a cycle of renewal and advancement that can become self-perpetuating, provided you remain dedicated and honest with yourself. No single habit stands alone, and none are optional if you want to move forward. They support each other like the legs of a sturdy table. Remove one, and everything risks collapsing. Now, let's address the final reality. Some people will read or hear about these habits, nod, say they make sense, and then do nothing. Others will jump in for a few days or weeks, make a bit of progress, and then revert to old patterns. But a select few will take these principles to heart, practice them daily, and see their lives transform in ways they never thought possible. The question is, which group do you want to belong to? If you've already read this far, you have at least some desire to be in that last group. Don't let that desire fade into the background of routine and passivity. Use it. Let that desire drive you to act decisively. 1 year from now, you could be the person who's made significant strides in your career, built a healthier body, cultivated closer relationships, and developed the mental toughness to handle obstacles with grace. Or you could be the person who looks back, sees they are essentially the same as they were, and feels the sting of knowing they let another year slip through their fingers. That decision happens in small, daily increments, not in one grand moment. There's a saying that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. The same logic applies to changing your life. The best time to start might have been ages ago, but since you can't go back in time, the second best time is right now, at this very moment. Don't spend another day coddling your comfort zone, throwing away your hours on distractions, neglecting your health, or thinking you can't do better. Don't spend another day believing you'll get around to it eventually. The only moment guaranteed is the one you're living in right now. If you keep waiting, you're gambling with the most precious resource you have: time. And time, once spent, is lost forever. The difference between winners and everyone else isn't intelligence or background or luck. It's that winners act. Winners show up, do the work, fine-tune their habits, manage their minds, and never stop growing. So here's the bottom line. Are you done playing small? Are you done letting life pass you by, content with mediocrity when you know you have the capacity for much more? Are you done recycling old excuses, tired of hearing your own voice saying, maybe someday, or I'm too busy, or it's too late? This is your notice that someday is here. It's here, waiting for you to step up, waiting for you to say enough is enough, waiting for you to put in the sweat and the effort to become the person you've always claimed you want to be. No more delaying. No more sidestepping. No more hoping it'll sort itself out. Change isn't something that just happens to you, it's something you instigate through relentless, consistent action. That's what these 5 habits are all about. They're a framework to stop drifting and start directing your life with intention. They're a blueprint for how to use each day constructively, for how to keep your eyes on your goals and your energy on the tasks that matter. They're a guide for how to care for your body and your mind so that you remain strong and alert, ready to seize the opportunities that come your way. And they're a reminder that each small step counts, and every tiny victory propels you forward, even if it's just a fraction of an inch at a time. Now let me leave you with one final challenge. Do something about it. Don't just nod and say, "That sounds wise." Don't just bookmark this message and promise you'll revisit it later. In the next 24 hours, take at least one concrete step that aligns with these habits. Whether it's setting your alarm 30 minutes earlier, planning a new exercise routine, or laying out a block of screen-free focus time, do something. Even a humble action can spark a mighty transformation if you nurture it day in and day out. That's the secret. Keep going. Keep showing up. Keep pushing the boundaries of your comfort zone. Keep prioritizing the steps that steer your life where you want it to go. Over weeks, months, and years, you'll look back and hardly recognize the old you. The one who hesitated, the one who procrastinated, the one who made excuses. Instead, you'll see a person who decided their future was worth the effort, a person who chose to break the cycle, a person who stopped being a bystander and became the author of their own destiny. Yes, it's going to be a challenge, but that's the point. That's what makes it worthwhile. If it were easy, everyone would do it. But the path to a fulfilling life has always been traveled by those willing to confront their own weaknesses, dismantle their own excuses, and strive for excellence daily. So I'll ask once more. Are you ready to stop hiding and start living? Are you ready to face discomfort and grow into the individual you know you could be, deep down in your bones? If the answer is yes, then there's no better moment than now. Use these 5 habits as your cornerstone. Commit, execute, refine, and watch how your life begins to shift. Over time, what once felt like an insurmountable hurdle will become second nature, and you'll hunger for more challenges, because you'll know each challenge is another step toward your fullest potential. That hunger is the spark of ambition. Let it burn brightly and let it guide you out of the shadows of complacency so you can finally embrace what you were always meant to be.